Hello, welcome to the final whistle. I'm Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
Well, goals from James Ward-Prowse and Armando Broja weren't enough to secure all 3 points at Selhurst Park as it finishes 2-2. Dean Hammond and Adam Leach are back with us to discuss that match. Dean, we'll come to you first. It was certainly an entertaining match, wasn't it? Plenty of positives to take, and upon reflection, probably a fair result.
Well, lots of positive, Kenzie, and like you say, on reflection, probably a fair result, especially with the start that Southampton had, and Crystal Palace being 1-0 up within 2 minutes was tough to take, especially away from home. But a really, really good response from Southampton, played their way into the game. When they started pressing Crystal Palace and used a bit more energy, they put them under pressure and created more chances. Fantastic goal from James Ward-Prowse, and then a brilliant goal from Broja. So yeah, really, really good. And then, to go in at half-time 2-1 up was fantastic. Second half, not a lot in the second half, I would say. I think Southampton would be disappointed with the second goal. Could have done a little bit more. I don't think they could quite get themselves organised. From Benteke just coming onto the pitch and Crystal Palace changing the formation. Little bit of luck to the equaliser. But pretty impressed with Southampton today. I thought Nathan Tella was very, very good. Livramento looked as though he was coming back to his best form. Cole Peters defended well. So yeah, it was pretty good. And Broja, looked a threat for such a young man at 20 years old to get the goal he did, and the way he led the line, the way he stretched the Crystal Palace defence, I thought was very, very impressive. So yeah, I'd say on reflection, a fair result against a good Crystal Palace team that are very, very good at home. So the only disappointment you take for it, again, would be Crystal Palace and Southampton are leading and they've lost the lead. And I think that's going to be some frustration there and some conversation and maybe some analysis of why that's happening, because that can change. Because if that can change, Southampton are a decent team. And I think this year with the age of the squad and the younger players coming through, we're going to see some inconsistencies. We're going to see some mistakes. But I really think there's a making of a good team here. But it's a valuable point and a good point especially after the slow start.
Yeah, valuable point indeed. Adam, what did you make of that performance tonight?
Yeah, I think the draw was the fair result in the end, which was quite a relief after the start. It was, Saints were, I thought they played pretty well tonight, all in all. I thought they were decent. It was certainly an entertaining game. I really enjoyed watching it. It was a good match. I think any neutrals tuning in would have enjoyed their evening's entertainment with that one. Given everything, I think you've got to be pleased. And I think we talked before the game about an important week for Saints. And I think that's not only a decent point and an important point to get on the board, but it's also a little bit of a confidence boost for them, because they did go to a team that are high on confidence after a win. And they played well, and they recovered from a poor start. And I think that's something that really bodes well for them. There were some good individual performances as well. Dean picked out Nathan Tella in particular, who I thought was really, really threatening today, and kind of got that balance today of that we've been wanting from him, of being a major part of the team, and the way that he pressed and the way that he worked for the team, but also not allowing that to blunt his attacking threat, and actually the way he carries the ball forward. And he caused a lot of problems for Crystal Palace. And I think, considering the number of games in the week, the fact that Ralph clearly at the end was felt like he needed to bring a few players off just to kind of save them, as it were. And they're therefore utilising the squad. I think you've got to say in context, it's a good result, and to have two such cracking goals as well is really encouraging. And that's kind of what we want to see from Saints. We said it before, not going to win every game. That's not realistic. That's not Saints, but you want to be entertained. You want to see good football. You want to see them put in a shift, and you would like to see some good goals. And I think we pretty much saw all of that tonight.
Well, Adam, you highlighted the poor start there, and I think when Wilfried Zaha scores in the first 2 minutes, we're all kind of fearing the worst. What was going through your head at that point?
Yeah, I probably won't repeat what I was thinking, but it wasn't pretty. I mean, at that stage, you think, goodness, the wheels could really come off here when you can see that early. And the Anko had a bit of a torrid night against Zaha. I don't think he really knew quite how to play him. And certainly the goal was, I think, was a prime example of that, really. And there were a couple of other moments like that. And I think that sort of shakiness defensively was concerning, not just for the goal, but in that immediate aftermath after the goal, when, frankly, at that point, it looked more like Palace would score than Saints would score. So, yeah, I was definitely very concerned for them at that point, because a second Palace goal, and it would have been a match, especially at Selhurst Park. But when they didn't get the goal, you kind of felt, okay, Saints can get back in this, and they did. They did a really good job of kind of clawing their way back in and finding a way to sort of neutralise Palace, particularly in the middle of the park. And then getting the 2 goals in such quick succession obviously changed the entire momentum of the match. And yeah, I think Dean hit upon it early on. The second half was kind of a slightly strange affair, given what we saw in the first half. Entertaining still, but kind of a very, very different affair, and a slightly different quality level, even though it was still good to watch. But yeah, you have to give Saints some credit, because after a start like that, you can capitulate, especially when you've got a tight ground like Palace. The fans were right up on top of them then, really up for it. And Saints might have been thinking this is going to be a long, long night, but they didn't give in. They held firm, and they got themselves back in it, and a deserved point in the end.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about those 2 Southampton goals now then, shall we? Starting with that free kick equaliser. It was pretty special, wasn't it? James Ward-Prowse at his best. And Dean, he probably felt pretty relieved when he saw that ball hit the back of the net.
Yeah, I think he would have done, Kenzie, because there's pressure on James. You know, every time there's a free kick, you expect him to score, because he does have the quality to do it. And past history tells us that he scores a lot from free kicks. But you know, fantastic range. I think it was a really, really good distance for him. Good placement on the pitch for him. I think he's been very, very confident. Stepped up. Fantastic free kick. It really, really is, because it, you know, the pace he gets on the free kicks and the accuracy is phenomenal. Really, it really, really is, because it looks like the keeper Butland potentially is going to save it, and it just moves away at the last minute into the top corner. But it's a brilliant free kick. And you know, James, I think, has played well tonight. His set pieces delivery, I thought, was very, very good. And it's actually Crystal Palace's one of their weaknesses and vulnerability, but I thought they defended the set pieces well today. I thought his delivery was good, but the free kick was great, and the timing of the goal was really, really important as well. Adams touched on it. You know, after the result against Arsenal at the weekend, to then go down 1-0 after 2 minutes, it's tough for a player, because you think potentially mentally, right, here we go again. This is going to be hard. But, you know, brilliant free kick from James. And I thought he put a really good captain's performance in today. And it's hard on him sometimes, because, you know, the quality of the player he is. He's in the England squad. Everyone looks for him for the inspiration. There's a lot of expectation on him in terms of performance, in terms of getting goals. And that's difficult sometimes, especially when you're not winning games. And that's all part of being a captain, and he'll learn from that. But full credit to him, because the goal tonight was fantastic. It's a brilliant goal, and I'm sure we'll see it many, many more times.
Well, it was a quick turnaround for Southampton after that, wasn't it, Adam? Because not long after Prowse's free kick, we saw Armando Broja thump it in from outside the area. I mean, he has scored some decent goals in a Saints shirt, but that one was right up there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to win any punditry insight awards for saying that he looks like a pretty special talent. I mean, what's that? Four goals in 6 Premier League starts now. I mean, it's a fantastic start now. Different types of goals as well. He always looks a threat. He's so lively. He leads the line well. I mean, he leads the line in a manner that really belies his age. I mean, what is he, 20 years old? You can't really believe it when you see him play. See much, much, much more experienced players than him not be able to be as authoritative in the way they lead the line as he is. And obviously, to cap it all, he has this very, very handy special talent of being able to score from all kinds of positions. And that the goal was really a great example of that. It was a fantastic strike. I mean, the keeper had pretty much no chance of getting anywhere near it. It'd be very interesting to see what happens with him, because like all young players that make a really fast start, as he has at Saints, there comes like a period often when they kind of just have a little dip just for a little while, and then kind of how they come out of that is normally really crucial. But I think for him, the way he's going, he might not even have this dip because he's just on such a roll. You would be tempted to think he was a confidence player, but I think actually the truth is he's got more about him than that. I think he's going to be more consistent than that. But a fantastic goal, and I think the whole of the Premier League are going to be really sitting up and taking notice of him now. I'm sure Chelsea are watching with great interest as well. He is looking like a really, really top young talent right now.
Yeah, he certainly is. Great to see him flying at the moment. Now, Dean, the Palace equaliser was disappointing though, wasn't it? Was there much Saints could have done better there?
Yeah, I think they could have done, in all honesty. I think there was enough defenders, enough bodies around the box to prevent Edouard getting a strike on goal. Like I mentioned previously, I think it was a little bit of disruption from Benteke just coming onto the pitch. Crystal Palace changing formation, so suddenly there was two central strikers for the two central defenders to deal with. But I think there was a little bit of fortune to it, I must admit, where he tried to get his shot away and turn away from the Southampton players. Is there a handball? I don't think so. Gets his strike across the goal. It's a really, really good save by the goalkeeper. And it fortunately falls to the Crystal Palace winger. Kyle Walker-Peters tries to get back on a line but can't quite get there in time. But I just think there was enough bodies maybe for Edouard not to be able to get turned and get the shot on. He kind of backs into the defenders, gets himself turned around. And I think when there's a Crystal Palace player in the Southampton's box, you're just showing him away from goal. Whatever you can do, you don't allow him to turn, whether, a bit of trickery or try to get a shot away. I think there's enough players there to take the responsibility to get to the ball first and just show him away from goal. But, like I say, there was a bit of fortune to it as well. But you'd probably have to say Crystal Palace deserved that because they played well tonight as well. And Southampton played well. And Adam Touch, for the neutral, was a very, very good game. It really, really was. It was a really good watch. And the game went very, very quickly. But yeah, I think there'll be a little bit of disappointment that it could have defended that a little bit better, but there was a bit of fortune to it as well.
Yeah, just to clarify, it was Jordan Ayew who got Crystal Palace's equaliser, his first goal in 43 games, I think the stat was before we were chatting about it, so it had to be against us, didn't it? Adam, when we spoke before the game, we weren't too sure maybe about the lineup that Ralph had selected, but after watching that game, how do you think it played out?
Yeah, I think it was, well, I mean, it was a strong performance in the end, so you can't really complain about the lineup when it's like that. I think we talked a lot about the centre-half pairing. Lianco struggled a little bit. He was a bit inconsistent. I think I mentioned earlier, he just clearly didn't quite know how to play Zaha. It was a slightly surprising to see how he attempted to play him because it was not what you would have expected. And I think if there's one thing that we can hopefully all agree on, it's that we probably don't want to see Salisu taking any more throw-ins because I'm not sure it's really working all that well at the moment. But it's, yeah, I mean, when you look at the other big selection was obviously Will Smallbone, who came in and, for bearing in mind his lack of football, did very well. I think the interesting thing remains for me in that selection really is almost less how Smallbone did because it is a road back for him. He's on a path and a journey now to getting back, which is great to see. But obviously it says quite a lot about the other players that are in and around vying for those positions that he would jump so far ahead in the queue, having been out for such a long time. And I think as well, in fairness to Ralph, having said all of that, I think we saw probably in that last 20 minutes when, understandably, he decided to change things around and he had Shane on, he had Theo on. Actually, the pace of the Saints' attack did noticeably dip somewhat. Not that they didn't bring other things to the game, but the pace of their press did start to ease somewhat. And I think, therefore, maybe it's the reason that he picked the team that he did. So that was quite an interesting to see that sort of potential other sliding doors team kind of at the end of the game. But overall, you have to say that any questions are always answered by the performance and the result. And it was a good performance and a decent result. So, yeah, credit to Ralph.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, you mentioned Will Smallbone there. His first Premier League start since January. Dean, how did he perform for you tonight?
Considering all that, Kenzie, I thought he did very, very well. One thing you'd have to credit him for, I thought condition-wise and fitness-wise, he looked very, very good. Excellent at supporting the play from midfield. You saw early on the run he made from when Broja put him through. With that strike of his left foot, unfortunately didn't get it on target, but brilliant willingness to get on the end of that. The intelligence he showed early on as well from that free kick that you expect James Ward-Prowse to swing in, but he puts an excellent delivery in. And I thought he did fine. He pressed well. He understood his role very, very well, which is difficult when you've been out of the team for such a long time and been on the sidelines watching. But it just shows that he's an intelligent footballer. All part of his development is finding probably where his best position is, whether that's centrally, whether it's wide. But I thought he did well today. Anytime he got the ball, he kept the ball. He kept it pretty simple, which is what you want to do when you're trying to work your way back into the team. But yeah, I think his fitness looked really, really good for a player that had been out for so long. So credit to him, and hopefully he can get a run in the team now, because I think he's, like we say, he's a young player with lots of talent. I think he can score goals from midfield because he strikes the ball very well and he's fit, so he can get in the box. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does now. But credit to him, and I'm sure he'll be very, very happy that he's got through that, and I'm sure his manager will be very happy with him tonight.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, next up for Southampton is Brentford at home at the weekend, Adam, and they've proved they deserve to be at this level. They're 12th in the Premier League. So what's your early thoughts ahead of that one?
Big game now, Steve, I think, for Saints. Big game. This is the one that you want to get your 3 points now. I think that was, obviously, we've said already, deserved point tonight, and a solid performance, and a lot to take out of this in terms of positives. I think moving forward into that game, I think Saints can go into it now feeling pretty happy, all in all, and pretty content. But they know they need a win, really. They really need to get that 3 points on the board. As good as a result as today was, and as good a performance as it was, it still is only 1 point. And when you look at, as we mentioned before, what they have to come up after Christmas, it gets a lot harder. So to get 3 points on the board, to go into Christmas with a feeling that you are in a good, solid position to build from, is what you want. You don't want to go in feeling like you are going to be under pressure if you lose 1 or 2 games. And particularly when you look at the fixture list and you see, yes, there are some winnable games in there, but there are also a lot of games that are going to be extremely challenging to get anything from, and that you would not criticise Saints for losing in the slightest. So if that, you don't want those matches to become the crucial ones to keep you away from the relegation zone. Now's the time to get the points. They're coming into it now on the back of a decent result, a good performance. There's no reason why they can't get a win, and I think that would be a pretty significant victory in the context of their season were they to achieve it. So hopefully they can.
Yeah, to echo what Adam said there, Dean, it does feel like a big game Saturday, doesn't it? How are you feeling ahead of that one?
Yeah, it's definitely a big game. And I think the importance of the game would be the fact that if you beat Brentford on Saturday, you go on level points with them. I think that would be the incentive and the motivation for the players. I think that would take Southampton up to 13th, 12th in the table. And just before Christmas, I think that's really, really positive, and it'll be really, really healthy for the players going into the festive period and then into the new year. And it's an important game because it's one of the teams that are close to Southampton, and a team that you would probably think Southampton are better at. They've got better individual players. They'll be playing at home at St Mary's, where their record is pretty good. So yeah, I think the players will be confident of getting a result and backing up tonight's performance, because we've mentioned tonight's performance was good and it was a good point. But if you can go and win Saturday, it suddenly turns into a brilliant point, and that's what you want. So I'm sure the players will be confident. You never know. Maybe Adam Armstrong or Shay Adams could be fit as well. Let's see with that. And Broja, full of confidence. A striker, like Adam said, a really talented player. So keep getting him opportunities and he will score goals. So yeah, looking forward to that game at the weekend.
Yeah, likewise, an important one indeed. Well, our attention tonight wasn't just focused on the action at Crystal Palace. We were also keeping our eyes firmly set on the Southampton women, who are, of course, in action at Fratton Park. Now, the current score is Pompey 0, Saints 1. I'm delighted to say you can see the goal there. It looks like an own goal from Danny Rowe, giving Saints a late lead. So I think they're playing the final minutes of the game now. So fingers crossed, it looks like the second win for Southampton women over Portsmouth in a week. We love to see that.
We do indeed. Hopefully they can hang on for the win there. Now, Dean, Adam, thank you so much for your contributions today on Saints Live and on the final whistle. It does finish honours evens at Selhurst Park as Southampton and Crystal Palace play out a 2-2 draw. Next up for Southampton, it is Brentford at St Mary's on Saturday. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff for that one, so we'll have another edition of Saints Live for you from 1:45. So we'll see you then.
Bye for now.